Hey guys, welcome to Requiem Comics. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Sean.
And this week, it is just us talking about Young Just Us.
I hate that joke. It's so lame.
But at least I didn't come up with it.
But we're back from hiatus.
We are back.
So we took a little break there.
Yeah.
We're catching up with some other stuff that we're working on.
Even we got to do other stuff sometimes.
Well, we got skills to pay the bills.
Yep.
So we're back. Hopefully this time you'll see actually some more content. We're looking at expanding some of our stuff outward, and you'll see in the future what we have planned.
Yeah, we certainly have not been sitting on our laurels this whole time. We've got some stuff coming, but we'll get into that at a later date.
Yeah, but just so you know, that's out there now.
Yeah,
but like Jesse said, we're discussing Young Justice.
Mm-hmm.
Justice League of America, World Without Grown-Ups. So,
yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to start with World Without Grown-Ups. The paperback that I have includes the Young Justice, the Secret Special, as well as the World Without Grown-Ups two-parter.
Yeah, and this is kind of the, I guess, episode 0 for Young Justice.
It's kind of their origin story.
It is. It's kind of where they get their start.
Mm-hmm.
Young Justice is, as I learned, not the Teen Titans.
No, they're almost Teen Titans gone wrong in a way.
Oh God, children.
And I kind of dig that. I kind of dig that they're a Young Justice or a Teen Titans, but basically with no one's approval. They
kind of have some approval. As we read it, they get a structure, they get a base.
Yeah.
The Justice League gives them a base. They have, mentor-ish,
yeah.
I guess you could call him that. I think he's just kind of there because he happened to be occupying the space. I'm talking about Red Tornado.
Yeah.
He was just kind of occupying the space. So
he'd basically given up on life because he thought that all his humanity was truly gone until these kids started annoying the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And he realized through his annoyance that since he could be annoyed that much, that obviously there was still some humanity left in him.
Yeah, because, again, children, great.
Yeah.
So, yes, World Without Grown-Ups and the other special with Secret.
Yeah.
So, the Secret one, which actually ended up being pretty important, I actually didn't care for the Secret story at first until we got into Young Justice.
And you see it actually pay off?
Yeah. I thought the pairing of the two in World Without Grown-Ups, the trade paperback that you have here, I thought it was kind of weird that they paired it together.
Mm-hmm.
But because this leads right into Young Justice, it makes total sense that if you're introducing the character Secret, who is like a cloud girl, I guess, it makes sense.
She's basically a ghost.
Okay, sure, she's a ghost or a cloud because she's a cloud.
Yeah, but
yeah, no, it makes sense to include it because she ends up playing a obviously crucial and important role later on.
Yeah. So the Secret Special, I believe, is actually the first time you see all three of these teen heroes, Robin, Superboy, and Impulse, all together.
Yep.
A few of them, they had met individually earlier on during other team-ups and stuff, but this is the first assembly of all of them together. They don't work great together at first.
Or even in the first 10 issues of Young Justice that we read, they're very dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Because, they're kids. And actually, later on, Red Tornado actually has a really good point in Young Justice when he compares them to the id, the ego, and the superego.
Yeah.
And how the three of them together kind of balance out. But separately, they're all fucking ridiculous because they're kids in here.
Well, actually, the Justice League even makes a point of being like, because each of these heroes had individual series at that time. There was a Superboy series, a Robin series, an Impulse series, and the Justice League even points out at one point here that they are ridiculously more effective on their own than they are together.
It's fair.
So basically, we go through the Secret story, and we kind of get into this whole thing with this weird ghost girl, and how this government agency is trying to capture her.
The DEO.
The DEO.
The Department of Extraordinary Affairs.
Yeah. But they're kind of douchey at this point in comics history. Not like the DEO that you would be familiar with if you watch Supergirl.
Oh, I didn't even realize they were in C.
Yeah, that's the government organization in Supergirl. It's the DEO. Yeah, me too, quite frankly.
Yeah, there you go.
I just watched the episode with Superman last night, though.
Congrats.
So, I mean, it's fresh on my memory.
That's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the DEO has found, or they're trying to transport a device, and basically a whole bunch of shit goes wrong, and then our 3 Young Justice superheroes here show up, and they go about trying to solve the mystery of where did this contraption container go? This creature keeps escaping. And they're under the impression that, oh, this is some kind of evil, dangerous thing. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out that the government organization actually is transporting a, I guess, metahuman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're transporting her because they've been running tests on her. She's lived in a lab her whole life, similar to Superboy there. And they end up befriending her. And at the very end, when they're confronted by the government agency, the DEO, they lie and they say, oh, we couldn't capture her. And then this sends Fit and Fight there, or whatever they call themselves, off into a frenzy. They get really pissed off because this is like, no, we have to find this. It's, the government needs this metahuman back. But they lied because they actually befriended her and realized that, oh, shit, we should do the right thing and not keep her imprisoned.
Yeah.
That's basically that story summed up.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's kind of hinted that Batman sort of knows what's going on, but...
Yeah, it does kind of allude to that at the end.
Because, I mean, Batman knows everything, I guess.
Well, because apparently he's got the world under surveillance.
It's Batman.
Making him, the same as the government, so whatever.
Yeah.
But World Without Grown-Ups.
World Without Grown-Ups.
So, again, the secret story was all right.
It's more there as like a little introduction to the characters.
It plays an important role later on in the series.
One thing that I do want to actually get into a little bit is a bit of the history of the Young Justice series. It was actually called Young Justice because at the time Teen Titans had that really successful run in the 80s done by Wolfman and Perez. Did really well. It ran through to the 90s. Still written by Wolfman, and it had kind of fizzled out before this came out, and they had tried to relaunch Teen Titans a couple of times since. Most notably, one time done by Dan Jurgens, where it was headed by this like teenage version of Ray Palmer, who had been de-aged, and it was basically this weird misfit
comic book stuff
group of Teen Titans, and it did not do very well. And at the time that this came out, DC was sort of afraid of the Teen Titans branding. They didn't really think that a Teen Titans book could sell that well. So they ended up calling this team Young Justice to try and differentiate it.
Oh, that's an interesting marketing ploy.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. Cool.
And then, obviously in 2003, when the Teen Titans cartoon started, this book ended up getting canceled so that they could reinvent this group of heroes as the Teen Titans, which we read.
Yes, and it was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Teen Titans.
Yeah.
When we read it before. Check out the episode. It's on SoundCloud.
Yeah. So now we're going back in time a little bit and seeing the first time that this group.
So I actually do have a question then. With the Teen Titans success later, they kind of do they retcon this out? Is this still part of their history? What?
Well, what happened is this was actually a really popular book at the time, and even now is kind of looked back on as sort of a cult classic of 90s comics. It ran for 55 issues with a number of specials. Did really, really well. I think the entire thing was helmed by Peter David. It had the same writer throughout it. Although the World Without Grown-Ups story that's here was done by Todd DeZago, who was writing Impulse at the time. But it was very well received. And with the Teen Titans relaunch, they kept all this continuity because, as you read, they kind of already knew each other and stuff before in the other book. But what happened was with New 52... They retconned almost all of Teen Titan history out, including this, and basically retconned it so that Tim, Bart, Connor, well, sort of this weird alternate version of Bart and Connor and Cassie kind of were all teaming up for the first time, and they were the first group of Titans ever. And all of this history was wiped out, which a lot of people got really pissed off about, and DC's sort of trying to fix now and put back into place now.
That's interesting. Okay. So yeah, World Without Grown-Ups.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
They end up in a world without grown-ups.
Yeah, this weird demon basically ends up splitting the world in two. Half of them, one world has all the grown-ups, one world has all the kids, and each group is trying to figure out what the hell happened to the other.
The demon, I just want to point out, kind of reminds me of Genie Jafar from Aladdin. He kind of looks the same, but he's purple.
Yeah.
I kind of thought, I actually at first thought he was a genie. I didn't think he was a demon. I thought he was a genie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what he does is he actually takes over the mind of a child and basically offers the child, I can grant you any wish you want. Now the kid, it was his birthday. He was having a really shitty day. His dad, that he hardly ever sees, came home, gave him this gift, and it wasn't what he wanted, so he threw a temper tantrum, and he makes a wish in his bedroom after he busts open the device that his dad gave him with the genie in it, and he wishes for a world without grown-ups. And this is kind of where the story starts. It splits the world in two. All the parents wake up the next morning, going to get their kids for breakfast, for school, and then they all start to panic because all the children have disappeared.
Yeah.
So the Justice League gets together and they're like, we can't figure out what the fuck is going on. And that's when it kind of switches over to Kid World.
Yeah.
Where after, 5 minutes or so, the kids realize, after they cried for a little bit, realize, oh shit, hey, there's no parents. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, and they start doing a bunch of stupid stuff, and obviously it comes down to the young heroes of that world to kind of
save their asses. Should have just let Darwinism sort it out, but no. Like the one kid takes a fucking F-15 fighter jet and decides, oh fuck, this is super cool. It's like the flight simulator game I played. Thank God Superboy's flying by because the kid doesn't know how to fly a freaking military grade jet.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, again, this is, I've said this before. I'm saying it again. Superhero kids totally work in a world with no adults. But you need adults, man. Adults are the reason children don't just randomly die. Because those kids, they were trash and everything. One kid goes to jump off a roof of a fucking house because he thinks he can fly.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So it's total chaos in Kid World.
Mm-hmm.
In Adult World, it's total chaos, but because they can't find their children. The kids, like I said, after about 10 minutes, don't give a shit and start doing the dumbest shit they can think of because they were never allowed to do it before.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, this is going on. You get our various, not Teen Titans, but you get our various, Impulse, Superboy, and Robin kind of meeting up, and they're trying to put things together. Like, what the hell has happened here?
Yeah.
And that's when they bump into little Billy.
Yeah, actually, Billy Batson, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, is really, really well used in this.
Shazam!
Yeah, they use him really well in this series.
So
because
good.
The thing about Billy Batson, for those who are not familiar with his character, he is Captain Marvel. He is a 10-year-old, or I guess he's a little bit older here, but he's a kid who, when he speaks the magical word Shazam, he turns into Captain Marvel, who's sort of this, like, Superman-like character.
He's basically Superman.
He's basically Superman. So he kind of can travel between the two worlds.
Well, it's really interesting the way it happens is that, so when Robin, Superboy, and Impulse find him, Billy's really afraid to Shazam.
Yeah.
Turn into Captain Marvel there. And the main reason is because at this point they don't know what's happened to the adults.
Yeah, and he's afraid that he's just going to flat out disappear.
When he transforms, he becomes an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very afraid to. So they try to convince him. No luck. He's too scared. They leave. Then you see this whole scene of him kind of having this realization that no, I have this power for a reason, and then he decides, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have the confidence to do this. He does it, and he doesn't grow into an adult, but ends up in space, and then that's when you see that there's actually two worlds. And then he's able to kind of direct himself towards the other planet, the other copy of Earth. What's interesting about this is that the genie demon, whatever you want to call him, is actually used adult Shazam as almost like a vessel to create the second world, because he's got the mind of a child, but he's got, the physical attributes of an adult. So in the imagination of a child, even though he's an adult. So he's able to kind of separate the worlds by using him as a vessel. Billy ends up with the Justice League, kind of explains all of this, and then that's when they realize that no, the world the adults are on is actually the world that's been abducted. The kids are on their actual planet. Yeah. Which really makes me wonder what consequences happen in, now that the worlds emerge at the end of this. Say there was an extra, brief couple pages. How many of those kids got grounded? I really want to know. Because that's the real world, not the copy world. And they trashed it to shit. I would love to see that. So write that, guys. But yes, that's the point. So they're able to kind of figure this out. Actually, the reason they find Billy actually is actually pretty cool too. He actually, I've never read anything with him before. He's been in, I think, one episode of Smallville. And that's,
was he?
Yeah, the kid gets the comic book. He turns into a superhero when he reads the comic book or whatever.
I don't remember that.
And he starts hitting on Chloe and shit. It was the whole thing. But it was a one-off episode towards the end, because that's what they did. Regardless, he's smart enough that he holds this kid part-time job kind of thing, like a TV studio there. And he goes in and he tries to communicate with anyone, and Robin and them can kind of pick up the signal. The other cool thing, is that they're able to kind of get pieces of the signal on the copy world where the adults are. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and it was a really cool, I guess, almost character development for him, for a character that I know very little about. Yeah. It was to see that he's, so powerful, but so unaware of his power. It was just really cool. And his intelligence. He's a lot smarter than, he assumes. He's a lot more courage than he assumes, which is evident when he, tries to Shazam and fix everything. But the thing is, this genie demon has taken over the mind of this child who was all disgruntled and didn't want, adults. And the kid kind of starts to get warped by this. He starts to believe he's a god. Yeah. So this whole thing is he's building up his power, and our heroes confront him. When they get there, it's total chaos because he's able to get into their minds.
He can basically mend reality.
And he makes it so that
he pits them all against their child versions of their mentors, and then they end up switching, and Bart Allen versus the Joker.
Oh, yeah, that was cool because so what happens is
he draws the Joker.
Robin has this very Hannibal Lecter experience with the Joker, Kid Joker.
Yeah,
which was trippy shit because that Kid Joker looks like Jared Leto in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, kind of.
Totally looks like slick back hair.
Yeah,
the white. Totally what Jared Leto's Joker looked like as a child. Because he calls him Clarice, he makes Hannibal Lecter jokes. And then Superboy is off in his own little dimension.
He's fighting Metallo.
Fighting Metallo, but Metallo in this one, as a kid, is made of kryptonite.
Yeah.
So he can't fight him because fuck that.
Yeah.
And then Impulse.
Bart against Grodd, right?
Yeah, it's Baby Grodd, which was adorable. Baby Grodd was adorable. I don't care what anyone says. But Robin kind of has this realization that this is not reality. So he's able to pull himself or open up a rift between his world and the one that Superboy's in. He's able to get himself pulled into Superboy's, fights off Metallo. Superboy tags into Impulse's world, fights off Grodd. And then Impulse is brought into the world with the Joker. And the Joker has a breakdown because Impulse is so all over the place, he cannot handle it. It was great. So, that fake world stuff pops, and then he pins them against each other. He opens their minds and says, okay, well, how would Superboy defeat Impulse? And he makes, a plank of wood with, cuffs show up, and Impulse is tied down and can't move. So, this story... it's just it's so smart. And this is what I really liked about it. It's just a lot of little details that went into this.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the way each one of these characters would perceive their supposed friends' weaknesses.
And you even get like some smaller like great it's all about little character moments in this book. And you even get some stuff like some little allusions to like other stuff like in each of their own little series, like with the Jason Todd costume, how Tim Drake's like, don't fucking touch that, and like freaks out on him on Impulse, like in regards to that. And you know, when they go to the Justice League headquarters, there's a really nice scene where Bart like sees this like monument of Barry and is almost he's almost like in awe of it. Like,
I like that.
Lots of really cool little moments like that.
The thing is with this story leading up to the creation of Young Justice is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
This was such a good ground zero episode, I guess, comic for a comic run. It's so well done.
And what I really like about it at the end is it's not a matter of them being like, we were effective, we should team up. It's them being like, no, like, we're friends now, let's hang out.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. The Justice League is like, nah, I don't think you guys should do stuff together because...
Well, Batman honestly is the one that's like, yo, Tim, you stay behind. It's cool.
Yeah. It was nice. It was again, they're like with Teen Titans, you know, it's like a whole coming of age thing. Your friends, the friends that you're making are your friends for, you know, very long periods of time.
Well, the best Teen Titans books, and I mean, aside from branding, I do consider this a Teen Titans book.
It is.
It's got a little bit of a different flavor, but at the end of the day, it's a different take on Teen Titans. And the best Teen Titans books are always about the core friendships of the characters.
Yeah, and we discussed that in the previous Teen Titans episode too. That's kind of what really makes these stories in contrast to your Justice League stories.
Yeah, and we were talking about it with Fantastic Four as well. It's
that family friendship. It's just it's really grounding. It really brings things together, and it puts a lot more at stake when something like, you know, a demon genie is taking over a child and split worlds up. Like, there's a lot more at stake. They're not just co-workers now. They're friends, you know. They're not family, but they're like family.
Yeah. Well, and they certainly get to that point, I think, by the time Teen Titans rolls around. Like,
absolutely.
They certainly know each other a lot better.
Well, then, at the end of this, they decide that, you know, they're going to have a Junior Justice League. You know, the name is in the works because they didn't like that name. But that's the superhero mentors decide, okay, this might not be a horrible idea. They should kind of meet people with similar, I guess, interests.
Yeah. It worked well for the last batch of kids.
Yeah, right? It's not like they died or anything. Fuck, whatever. Yeah, so this is where you kind of get this jumping point into a new comic run, Young Justice.
Yeah.
Which then actually introduces a couple new characters, and one from the just before A World Without Grown-Up, Secret, because Secret ends up joining them.
Secret ends up coming back. We get Cassie Sandsmark, the second Wonder Girl. Mm-hmm. Back when she had a black wig.
Oh, that tripped me out, man.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I'm used to seeing her with blonde hair as well.
The thing is, like, with this, because
but it's almost kind of cool seeing her like start off as that sort of like tomboyish sort of character.
I agree. It was just weird to see that she was blonde, like 4 issues in, when she takes the wig off. I was like, holy shit, she has a wig.
Yeah. Well, she was blonde in Titans.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was necessarily the same character because this wasn't Teen Titans.
I guess.
You see what I mean? And it was the 90s. All of their hairdos are fucking garbage.
Yeah.
God, kids in the 90s, man. I'm telling you.
Superboy and that earring.
Holy show, man. He's such a bro.
And Tim Drake looks exactly the same.
Yeah, he does. And Robin is quite possibly my favorite character because he's always just Robin. He's just himself.
He's awesome.
Weird. He's nerdy. He's just always like business and trying to like figure out how to have friends. Superboy's all fucking bro McBro and Impulse. Oh my god.
Tim Drake is probably the Robin who is at the core of his character the most like Batman.
Yeah.
As much as he doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
I think he's the most analytical Robin. He's the most detective oriented. Dick Grayson was a little bit more of a leader. He was a little bit more friendly with everyone, a little bit more outgoing. Mm-hmm. Tim Drake, like, he's definitely friends with everyone on this team, but he's more secretive. Yeah. It takes him a long time to even
open up,
even tell them his real name.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually in one of the 10 issues that Jesse made me read. Yeah, 10 issues. That's right, 10.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, they actually go camping and they're playing Truth and Dare, and Robin gets dared to take his mask off. But he had calculated that they would ask him that. So when he stands up in front of the fire, he makes this like, I'm going to do it. He pulls his mask off, and underneath he's just wearing another mask. Because he anticipated. But that's exactly to your point. He is very secretive. He's still very, kind of closed off, very analytical.
Mm-hmm. And that's also partially because Batman, like, won't let him reveal his identity.
Well, we know what happened before, so... We know what's happened to Robins before.
Yeah, well, the last one was beaten to death. So, I mean, Batman's
he's got his
a little
reasons.
Overprotective of this.
He's got his reasons.
Yeah.
But overall...
Plus Tim Drake kind of has a bit of a different life in terms of his parents are still around, or at least his dad is at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's also a little bit different from the other Robins in that sense. He's probably the most normal out of all of them.
The most adjusted.
Yeah.
Well, then we also get another character,
Arrowette.
Which I think is the stupidest name ever.
Stupid name. I think she's a really cool character, though.
I don't take away from the character. I think she's a pretty cool character.
She first debuted in Impulse number 18.
Cool. Well, because at one point Impulse says... Or she mentions that she knows him.
Yeah, she first shows up in Impulse's book, and with a different costume, and then later on ends up joining this team.
Secret finds her and then tells her that, be friends with my friends. And then as they're doing that, I think they get ambushed, and then she gets shot in the shoulder. And then Secret manages to get her to the now new Young Justice HQ, which was given to them by the Justice League. It was a former HQ of theirs down in some crappy port town. So they bring her in, they patch her up, and she kind of becomes friends with them, and then we go from there. So that's, you got 6 characters now in the first, I guess, issue.
Yeah. What's interesting about this group of teens is... I think that compared to and the other Teen Titans got kind of more development as they went on, but compared to the Silver Age original Teen Titans, I think that these characters have some more baggage. Some of them have messy family lives. Some of them are just immature and haven't really grown into their own yet.
Impulse.
Superboy.
Oh yeah, well he's just a douche.
You know what? Rereading this, it was actually surprising to me how douchey Superboy used to be. I forgot, man.
This is the thing. Now
I knew he was always a bit egotistical, but man.
Now I understand when I hear about women in comics in the 90s, particularly when a lot of women were raging against companies like DC and Marvel about how women are portrayed. I can see the reason that they got so pissed off, because Superboy is like the date rapey fucking bro from a fraternity that you want to keep away from everyone. He starts fights with guys because he can fucking do it.
Yeah.
He's just a douche. He is the epitome of giant douche.
Well, he's a kid with Superman's powers without any of
Lex
the
Luthor's ego.
Right, with Lex Luthor's ego and without the influence of Ma and Pa Kent to kind of ground him. So he's just kind of like, I'm basically Superman. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
It's surprising that he ends up a fucking good guy.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, with the added, like... And this is.
I think a lot of that changes. Like, he's pretty much like this up until Teen Titans, the book that we read, which is ironically also where he finds out that he's Lex Luthor's clone.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of his character changed when he found out about that, and he started watching his own behavior a lot more.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh damn, I actually can end up like Lex Luthor."
The first 3 or 4 issues of Young Justice here. All Superboy talks about is getting babes.
Yeah.
I gotta get some chicks. Oh, this car will get us some chicks. It'll be awesome. What happened to that woman who was, frozen in the archaeological site in the first issue? Well endowed, because that was her name. Well endowed.
Yeah.
Well endowed. That is fucking ridiculous. So yes, I will say that this run, and it started to slow down as it progressed.
Well,
but it is sexist as fuck in the first couple issues because Superboy is such a bro.
Yeah.
He's a date rapey fraternity douche. That's what he is, man.
He's pretty gross.
Oh my god.
He's pretty douchey.
And Impulse, I mean, that's not necessarily, not his fault necessarily, but he kind of goes along with it because he thinks this is how to socialize. And Impulse is a character who doesn't really understand consequences.
Or context.
So he kind of goes along with some of this stuff. Not realizing, Robin is sitting there, shaking his head,
Robin,
fuck off.
Yeah, Robin's just this is dumb. I mean, that's definitely true. And I do think that this run, if anything, it's hard because I'd have to reread a lot of it because, the last time I read this whole series was 10 years ago. But from what I remember later on in the run, a lot of the female characters getting a lot of the really good drama and kind of stepping up and becoming almost the focus of this book.
Well, you start to see it. You see it with Arrowette.
Yeah, Arrowette gets a lot of really cool stuff to her.
She reams out Superman and the Justice League.
Yeah.
Right to the face about how they're treating the guys who are on this, they're on a mission. They're on a timed mission to prove that they can do this and work as a team. They're fighting Desperado.
Oh, Despero. Yeah.
So they're fighting him in a theme park, and they're given 24 minutes to handle the situation. And the Justice League is frantically watching, ready to jump in at any moment. And Arrowette basically tells them that they're not ever going to develop if you don't back the fuck off. And she raises her voice at them, and that's when you really see she really fucking steps no.
Yeah.
This is wrong. You're in the wrong. And then, of course, afterwards, she, runs off and hyperventilates because she just told Superman off.
I kind of like that.
I did too. But the thing is that I do see where the development's coming in.
Yeah. It's one of those series that it definitely starts off as sort of this jokey, really lighthearted series. And then the further in you get, just all this dark, messed up stuff starts happening to them.
It's very 12-year-old boy at the start, and as you're progressing, even in the 10 issues that we did, as you're progressing, you start to see that, okay, now maybe it's 15-year-old boy.
I do kind of think, though, that it does add to it that it starts off that way for the first few issues, because then, if it had already sort of started off that way, then there wouldn't be no, real dramatic dive.
I get that. But again, I just think that some of the actions of Superboy, I just think... okay, Mom, Pa, Ken aren't there, but are they saints? Come on.
Yeah.
Cadmus is in charge of this guy right now, and let's be honest, they're clearly failing his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Who would have thought a secret laboratory would fail as a parent?
Who would have thought, indeed. Right? Yeah.
But yes, you do see a lot of development and changes.
And in this book's defense, it definitely doesn't glorify it. It definitely is posed as oh, look at Superboy acting like a fucking idiot.
Well, and that's one of the things I really liked. Robin actually calls him out on that.
Yeah.
Which is great because they're at a party. They're hosting a Halloween party for the mayor because they don't want kids to be out in the streets, getting into trouble or, getting into danger.
Mm-hmm.
So the young Justice, hosts this party. Robin's talking to her girl. Her, overly douchey jock boyfriend shows up and tries to pick a fight with Robin because he was talking to his girl.
Yeah, Robin backs off because he's a normal person. He's whatever.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad. I'm just going to go. And then Superboy jumps in no, man. Is she giving you a hard time, bro?
Yo, you see this S? You see this S, bro?
And then he fucking takes him through the ringer, and then Impulse rips his clothes off, and they go and find Robin after, and Robin's fucking pissed. He's like, "What the hell, guys?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we have your back, bro. It's all good, bro." And he's like, "No, we held this party to avoid shit like this.
Yeah.
And you made us look like a bunch of fucking assholes."
Mm-hmm.
And Superboy Impulse gets it. Impulse is kind of like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and because Impulse isn't trying to be an asshole. Impulse is just like, I didn't think that through.
He's going with the flow.
Yeah.
Right? He's going with whatever the loudest energy is, and that happened to be Superboy at the time. Superboy's like, well, I mean, you know, I still got your back, bro.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, Superboy. You're a douche.
Superboy and Robin actually have a lot of feuds over the run of this book.
Well, in Teen Titans, they had that feud when Robin finds out he's a fucking Lex Luthor clone.
Yeah.
But yes, I can see why, because they're completely different personalities.
Yeah.
Robin is a
and they do end up becoming
person.
like best friends, but that's over a long time.
I've been friends with people who are very different than me.
Yeah.
It happens. It's not like it's unheard of, but you know, you learn to find common ground on things you can talk about, things you can't talk about, you know. But yes, I can see why they would become very close friends, but they are very different characters. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, Superboy's a douche.
He is. And you know what? That's something that really stuck out for me rereading this. And I like what happens with him later on. Like, I do like the character, but...
He is a great asset to their team. And the thing is, like, with the 10 issues that we did, they're kind of like monster of the week, you know, or villain of the week kind of runs. There is this kind of undergoing storyline that you're trying to figure out as it's progressing.
Yeah, it's still very much like the origins of this team and them getting used to working together. And you still have, like, the girls coming into it partway through, and, like, it's still introducing...
So you're getting all this development, which is cool, and you're kind of getting hints of the underlying story, which is great. But yes, it's still very a villain of the week for the first, like I said, the 10 issues that we did.
Mm-hmm. Like I said though, I think that the a lot of what makes this series great is not so much even necessarily the stories or the story setups themselves. It's the interactions between these 6 characters that really make this book good. Again,
with the Justice League, you know, it's like they show up to work with briefcases and oh, hey, did you watch the game last night there, Batman?
Yeah, this is a book where you have all these extreme personalities because they're young, and when you're younger, you're a bit more extreme about things.
Because they're going through puberty.
Yeah, and what really makes this book good, in my opinion, is the interactions between, at first, these 3, and then later on, Arrowhead and Wonder Girl, and you see that friendship sort of start coming together. Where at first they hate each other because they both sort of have a thing for Superboy.
When Superboy is gravitated towards Arrowhead too, which makes Wonder Girl there really fucking jealous.
Yeah, and then after Arrowhead tells off the Justice League, they kind of become friends.
And then there's actually an issue in here where they're babysitting together, and there's this videotape. It's been, you know, programmed with super subliminal messaging to turn children into violent murderers and murder their parents. And what happens is Wonder Girl is over in the kitchen on the phone. Arrowhead's out in the living room with the kids. She's not really paying much attention to them. And the kids who've just watched this tape try to murder her. But as she's got them, like, restrained down, the kids' parents walk in. So it looks like she's trying to murder them. And that's, you know, Wonder Girl comes jumping in like, no, this is a giant misunderstanding. And that's, like, that issue particularly, I think it was 8 or 9.
Yeah, it would have been 9 because that's 9 and 10.
You really see their bond kind of form there.
Yeah.
They're now kind of moving to this friendship thing. The thing is, Young Justice is like Degrassi High, but with superheroes.
Kind of, yeah.
It's super Degrassi High.
Yeah.
So, it's not bad, but it's a lot of teen drama.
For sure. But I think it's well done teen drama.
It is, because the thing is, you know, as a teenager, everything's a learning experience, right? And it is as an adult, too. I'm not saying it's not. But the thing is, as a teenager, you're learning to have complicated relationships and this kind of stuff, and this series really does bring that out.
Yeah, and they're all great characters. I like how they interact with the Justice League. I like how, honestly, I like the fact that they're as flawed as they are. I think it makes it more interesting. I think that if we had a team of teen heroes that were all like Tim, that all kind of had a good head on their shoulders, I don't think this would be an interesting book.
No, not at all. They'd all be the same fucking boring robot.
Yeah, I think you need a Tim in there
And a douche.
But,
You need a Superboy douche in there,
you need a Superboy douche. You need Impulse.
And that's the thing. All the characters complement each other well because they all balance each other out. They're all very unique, different characters. They come from different backgrounds. Arrowette, the thing that, like, her mom in issue 7, her mom is, so preoccupied with making her this ultimate superhero. Her mom is a superhero trainer. She wants to make sure that when she's now part of this Young Justice, that she gets branding rights and she's center stage during press conferences.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. She comes from a world where she's living vicariously through her daughter.
Yeah.
Whereas you see Wonder Girl's mom, who's like, what the fuck are you going on about? I want to make sure my kid's safe.
Yeah.
Well, Arrowette's mom, well, so do I, but, merchandising. Who's in charge of merchandising? So there's a lot of conflict between them, and you can see how these different parents, different situations in life have really shaped these kids and how they interact with one another, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I guess, what are your final thoughts?
All in all, World Without Grown-Ups, fucking awesome. I'm giving that a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Because it was just so well written. It's so smart. It's funny. It's so on the ball. The sci-fi is fucking great. The Jafar Genie, he's cool. I thought he was neat. I can't remember his name. Jafar Genie.
Yeah.
So I would give World Without Grown-Ups a 9 out of 10. For a starting point for Young Justice, fucking great. Now, I'm a little more torn with the 10 issues that we did for Young Justice specifically. As it progressed, the last, I'd say, 7, 8, 9, 10, the last 4 issues, I really enjoyed. I'd give those probably an 8 out of 10.
Right.
They're really fun. They're really good. They're rooted in character development. You see a lot of different aspects of all these characters coming together. You see a lot of even just the Justice League and how they're interacting with them. I think it's really cool. The first few issues, however, I have some issues with the overtly blatant sexism and the bro douchiness of Superboy. To the point where if Superboy was in front of me, I would fucking hit him in the head for being an obnoxious little fuck.
It wouldn't do much. He's a Kryptonian.
Well, you know what? I'd fucking shove fucking Krypton down his fucking throat. Because he's obnoxious. He is literally the epitome of rape culture. I fucking hate that little shit. But, as I said, as it progressed, you do see that change. You see more of Robin's influence on him. Mm-hmm. So overall, if I'm going to rank them together, the 10 issues together, I'd give it a 6.5. But the last 4 issues, if I rank them separate from the first, 6, I would give those, probably 9.
So what's your overall?
Overall, 6.5.
For everything?
Oh, including World Without Parents?
Yeah, everything.
I'd have to probably go with 7.5 or 8 then.
Okay.
Because World Without Grown-Ups was just so good.
Yeah.
It was just so good. What about you?
I'd probably give it a 9 in total. I really like this series. Like I said, it's really the character interactions that make it for me. It's character actions that end up going until basically Infinity Crisis in like 2005, 2006, where this team kind of gets broken up. And then the Teen Titans book kind of straggles for a little bit. And you can tell why, because the core relationships of these characters are so strong and make this team what it is. And so much of that is built on these initial few issues. I think they do a good job of it. Yeah, Superboy's kind of douchey, but I think this book does a good job of calling him out on it. And does a good job of actually addressing it as part of the story, and how it doesn't glorify it does call him out on it. And I think that I'd rather have it in there and have him called out on it than have it not in there at all. Because, honestly, that kind of behavior, you're right, it's not right. And it is, I think, important to address in something that kids are going to read and explain to them that kind of behavior isn't right.
The problem I have with that, though, is that even after Robin screams at him and tells him he was acting like a total asshole, he's like, oh, well, I still got your back, bro. It's just dropped at that point. There's
Well, it's not the last time it comes up, and it.
Well, in the,
like,
in the 10 issues that we read, that's what my frame of reference is.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything beyond that. In that sense, it's just like, okay, well, if you're a kid who thinks Superboy is awesome, it was just dismissed, so, okay, it's cool. And that, I think, is where the issue lies. But again, it's...
I guess so. I can see your point, and like I said, I think that would have to be something that I'd really have to reread the series and think about as a 20-something-year-old as opposed to a 16-year-old and really look at. But
well, like I said, in the 90s, you saw this massive movement of people who wanted to see change in the way women are portrayed in comics.
Yeah.
You see a huge push for this. And I can see why.
Yeah.
And it's great that they started doing that change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's still obviously issues, but even just having
a lot of those are issues
room.
that still exist today.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and they're still working on.
But you see, this is kind of the epitome of what their argument is, and I can see why they made the argument that yes, comics are not promoting a healthy culture for women.
Yeah, I definitely see elements of that in here.
But again, as the story progresses, a lot of those things are kind of dropped. They're never from the 10 issues that we read. It's not brought back up, but it's no longer saturated in it, which is great.
Yeah. Well, especially once you start getting a female cast introduced.
Yes, and they actually start...
And it stops being about 3 13-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Basically.
One with ADHD, one who's a bro, and the other one who has no friends. So, but yeah, that's where I stand. That's where you stand.
Yeah.
Cool.
Overall, though, I love this team. I love these characters, and that's what I'm basing my vote on.
Cool. So that is this week's episode of Requiem Comics.
Yeah.
We are now, like I said, back from hiatus. So thanks again for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
You can check us out on SoundCloud or iTunes. Just look out Requiem Comics. We're on Twitter at Requiem_Comics.
Yep.
And if you have any other comments or anything like that, feel free to drop us a line.
Next time we will be reading Spider-Man: The Death of Jean DeWolff.
Woo.
Yeah, great story.
Cool. Thanks again.